An anime can live or die based on how good it looks. A good show can be absolutely butchered by bad art direction, and incredible art direction can elevate an alright story to entirely new heights. Some of my favorite shows of all time are so good in part because they have such a unique style that enhances the rest of the story. And that's why it's such a shame that a lot of anime just look meh. It's not that these shows necessarily look bad or anything. It's just, after a while of seeing the same protagonist, same art style, and this same goddamn town, you just want something new, something fresh. And the search for an anime like this led me straight to the series Mononoke. Released back in 2007, Mononoke is a spin-off to a story featured in Ayakashi Samurai Horror Tales. It follows a man only ever referred to as Medicine Seller. The Medicine Seller is this mysterious man that travels Japan in pursuit of Mononoke, unnatural spirits that have lingered throughout the world by binding themselves to negative human emotions, and it's his job to destroy these entities. He does this by using a strange sword that is only able to be unsheathed after figuring out the shape, truth, and reasoning of the spirit. These conditions turn the show into what is essentially a supernatural detective story. It's a cool idea for a story. Watching as the Medicine Seller slowly uncovers the truths of these spirits is really captivating. It's a format that works well in just about any setting they put it in, and all of the locations each part takes place in have a really unique flair to them. The hotel feels like this never-ending building, with hallways that just go on and on. The absurdity of this multi-layered ship with all its different components within, and the way they use the lack of color at the incense school to contrast the bits of color they add. The locations all have this surreal feeling to them that makes them really good set pieces for the stories taking place within them. And the character designs here are really neat. Each of them looks and feels very distinct from one another. I love when an anime gets wacky with their designs. It's a breath of fresh air to see characters that don't all have the same type of look to them. And Mononoke gets really funky with the designs here. When it's not doing questionable caricatures, they stretch the limits of these guys' proportions and fashion to make for some really unique designs that pair well with the bombastic settings and visuals.
I'm over here stroking my dick. I got lotion on my dick.
Now, while this is a horror anime, I never really found myself getting scared while watching it, like you would from a typical piece of horror media. But I don't think being scared here is necessarily the appeal of it. The horror aspect of this show is used more to deliver these eerie, sometimes surreal visuals. This is the stuff you're coming here for, and it's where the show is at its best. This watercolor aesthetic they have going on is a very pleasant style, and the way they handle the cinematography is very interesting. It's not afraid to get experimental with its shots, in a way that I think a lot of anime just don't do. The way they keep the camera focused on certain shots for these long periods of time lets you just bask in the moment and really take in the horror of these visuals. Just look how effectively they're able to convey the genuine sense of horror on the lady's face here. I really love the show's art direction. It makes me wish more shows were willing to experiment as much as they did here. But just because its visuals are its strongest aspect doesn't mean the actual storytelling has suffered in any way. The mysteries that are here in the story are pretty interesting. I can't really talk that much about them because I don't want to spoil any of it, but I never found myself disinterested in any of them, which is probably helped by the Medicine Seller being here. The presence he brings to the story really adds to the whole experience. You rarely get to hear his thoughts, so it makes him this wild card character that goes along well with the other guys here, who are all pretty fun in their own right. I enjoyed when the story would introduce a bunch of these different characters and slowly reveal their place in the narratives.
I'm horny as fuck, man. I'm a freak, man.
My biggest issue with the show, though, has to be that it's only 12 episodes long. There is just so much more that can be done with this story and its world, and the 12 episodes we got just isn't enough for that. I wanted more of this series, and luckily, we got exactly that when Netflix announced the release of a Mononoke movie. This movie is genuinely incredible. It takes everything that was so great about the original anime and transfers it perfectly into a movie format. The animation style from the original has been given this modern flair that couldn't have looked better. And the story here has a polish that I think surpasses anything from the original. Hell, if you want to start this series from here, I wouldn't blame you. It's able to reach heights that the original anime just wasn't able to, with the format TV allowed it. I'm not sure why Netflix decided they wanted to make a movie out of an almost 20-year-old anime, but I couldn't have been any happier that they chose this series to do it with. Because to me, Mononoke is truly something special. I don't know how I managed to go so long without hearing anything about this show. Its strange atmosphere, beautiful visuals, and intriguing story pulls you deep into this wonderfully unique world. I think Mononoke is critically underrated, and if anything I've said in this video sounds up your alley, consider giving the anime a shot. Hell, if the movie does well, maybe we'll get to see more from this universe in the future, and getting anything of similar quality to this sounds pretty cool to me. My name has been Goob. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.